flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raddatz.
Here.
Councilmember Lasky.
Here.
Mayor Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Keck.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Police Chief.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. Citizens' comments. Any citizens with correspondence to be distributed to council should provide items to the city clerk prior to the start of meeting or after the meeting has adjourned, limited to 5 minutes. Is there any citizen comments?
Good evening, Council. In reference to talk about its request, I'm going to have to stand for the local combat veterans. I see the DDA isn't really in approval. They state that for several reasons they don't agree. The requested event frequency, so it's often. The impact to downtown, what is the impact? Is there a negative impact to downtown on a Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m.? Same holds true with the disruption to pedestrian accessibility on a Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m. And I'm sure if you talk to them, they'd work out a cleanup plan. Thank you.
Evening. My name is John Hosworth. I'm the chapter commander for the Michigan Chapter 35-7 Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, for which the gentleman just spoke. I was actually at most of the bike nights last year at Talk About It. We managed to raise around $2,500 for local veterans through our fundraising efforts, so I appreciate everything that Tara and Talk About It did for us. I do have a couple of questions regarding the DDA recommendations that I know that you cannot answer, but I'd like you to ponder when considering this. First of all, like I said, I was at most of those bike nights, and they said that there were several times there was debris left over. I personally made certain that there was a detail to clean up the sidewalks after every event, and so I questioned the veracity of that claim. I know this is not a court of law, and I don't have the right to cross-examine whomever made that claim, but I can give you my oath of honesty that that is simply incorrect. There was never any trash left there after one of our events. In regards to the disruption to downtown, I also personally handled a phone call from a neighbor across the street who was complaining about the noise, and I told him that we would absolutely adhere to any city ordinance, that we made certain that we had to be of a certain level and done at a certain time, and we never went past that as far as my knowledge is concerned. In regard to the frequency, it is actually going to be every other week. Tara made this application before we as a chapter voted on every other week, simply because we don't have the personnel to ensure that things are going to be taken care of and cleaned up on a weekly basis, and so we decided to do it less frequently to make certain that we were less of an encumbrance for anything in the city. In regard to the pedestrian traffic, where we put the karaoke machine last year was actually set back quite a bit, in almost into the alcove of Talk About It. And by my recollection, there was approximately 6 to 6.5 feet of clear sidewalk between the karaoke machine and Tara's picnic tables that were already there in the parking spaces out on the road. And so pedestrian traffic was never impeded in any fashion. In fact, what we managed to do was attract pedestrians to that area of downtown several times who wanted to join in the festivities, and actually several local businesses stayed open later on those nights because they did better business when we were there. So the idea of these nights is not simply to make money for local veterans, which obviously that's part of the idea. But the other part of this was to forge a partnership with Manistee downtown businesses and grow closer with that relationship so we can all support one another. We all want to see a vibrant downtown. Frankly, I don't understand why the DDA wants to shut that avenue off for businesses to make money on a Thursday night, which is otherwise not one of the top nights to make money as a restaurant or a bar. So I simply ask that you take those things into consideration and ignore the DDA recommendation and allow us to make more money for local veterans and to have better business coming for downtown this summer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, my name's Tara. I own Talk About It, and I ran bike night most Thursdays of last summer, and I can personally tell you that my team cleaned up very well. In fact, I was able to employ 2 more bartenders just because of Talk About It. I mean, because of bike night at Talk About It. So it gave more opportunities for many people to come in and work. We were able to also raise money for the combat vets. It was a great event. I feel like yes, there was a couple noise complaints, but we always complied. We shut it down at 9 o'clock when we were told to. The recommendation was to apply for a permit, so that's what we did. We're not looking up at taking any more room. We're only taking up the 2 picnic tables that are there. That is it. Karaoke will be, the screen will be on the inside, machine will be up against the building. Like he said, we plan on 6 to 7 feet of clear sidewalk. And he's very right. It attracted, my business volume went up by 70% that night just because of pedestrians walking by, seeing something going on, seeing people being interactive. And then the event itself was very cool. These guys they interact with the pedestrians as they're walking by. Little kids, we gave coloring sheets, they were coloring. It was just a very cool event. Every time we did something different. So I believe it's a great event. We had the shop next to us stay open later. Their business increased like crazy. The coffee shop did a couple things. So it's just a fun way to bring our side of town a little more alive. Our side tends to struggle with that a little bit. So I hope you guys consider that. I realize that the DDA recommended against it. It's kind of unfortunate, but I hope you guys all consider that it does bring that side of town down. Like on Thursday night, it's really not much going on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? All items on the consent agenda are marked with an asterisk are considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval, any member of council may have an item removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Items include approval of minutes, payroll, invoices, consideration of the Catamaran Racing Association of Michigan holding a Manistee Regatta on August 23rd, 24th, 2025, consideration of Little Rascals Cat Sanctuary Tag Day fundraiser, consideration of Manistee County Humane Society Tag Day fundraiser. At this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I make that motion to
I'll
approve.
second.
Any discussion on this? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Redditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of Budget Amendment 2025-3 for fiscal year end June 30th, 2025. The City of Manistee is required by state law to ensure that actual expenditures do not exceed budget amounts over the course of the current fiscal year. Unanticipated and unbudgeted events and/or council-approved expenditures have occurred. The proposed budget amendment addresses expenditures associated with these events to ensure compliance with state statutes regarding appropriations. At this time, council could take action to adopt Budget Amendment 2025-3 for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
what events are we talking about, Ed? Or Bill, whoever wants to answer.
Councilmember Grabowski, Council, I can run through each of these individually if you'd like. Excuse me. Most of these are just things that occur in the normal course of operating a city that's as large and complex as we are. I have to pull it up again because I just lost it. Hang in here.
I have it on the screen as well.
Yeah, just for some reason, there we go. Okay, so the first one is in my department, actually. I had a staff member leave who had quite a bit of accrued vacation and sick time. Normally, we expect that to be, done bit by bit over time, but when somebody does leave, we have to pay them out, so that's what that budget amendment's for. If we know somebody's gonna be leaving or retiring, we try to anticipate that, but there was no way to anticipate this one. And it can't be absorbed by other line items in my budget. Second one is the assessor. That was an oversight during budgeting. Molly uses software called Pivot Point when she's out in the field doing assessments, and she has to reassess 20% of the community each year. This software allows them to take field notes, write things down, and then sync it back into the BS&A software. We just accidentally left that one out of the budget. Their budget's very tight because it's primarily just their contract amount and very little in the way of office supplies. So normally, something like this, you'd be able to absorb that in a budget, but not in that one because of the way it's structured. Next one is utility streetlights. We've been going along on a pretty good trend with streetlights being flat, primarily because we did an audit and they've been switching out some of those lights to LED, but they, I think, and I believe that the Michigan Public Service Commission allowed Consumers Energy to push through some rate increases, and we're seeing that in the trend this year. And so it looks like we're going to be over budget from what we had anticipated. We are going to be putting in and replacing some of the streetlights downtown, potentially with LED lights, which should help to control those costs, but we can't control the rates that the Consumers Energy levies. In the police department, there's a new grant program from the state of Michigan for training. It has to be only used for training for continuing professional education. And we got that grant last year, and then we got some more of it this year. And so we're just amending or actually adding a line item to account for those funds when we spend them, because they have to be segregated, and it'll make it easier for Josh to report. So 100% of that expenditure is offset by new grant money that we got. In the DPW, when we were trying to deal with the recycling issue, we had the trailer, the PCA trailer down at the city garage, and he had to staff that on an overtime basis. And Jeff's budget really doesn't have enough room to be able to cover that, especially when he's doing other things. And so because that was an add-on, we felt it appropriate to do a budget amendment. That'll be going away once we have curbside recycling. Next item is the general fund parks. That has to do with removing the net shed. It was an emergency basis and we had to get it out of there. And we may be getting money from the Army Corps of Engineers, and if not, we will probably be getting reimbursed by our insurance company. We're still working through that process. But because we had to incur that expense, I can't have that particular department go over budget, which would cause it to be, because the auditors don't like that, and so that's what that budget amendment's for. And finally, in the parks budget, we did not get invoiced for one of the payments from the MAPS pain pool last year. Didn't catch that we hadn't been invoiced, so we only paid out $30,000 last year, but we're contractually obligated to pay $40,000 a year. I think one of the council members may have pointed that out during the budget discussion. So we just make them whole from what it should have been, and that's being paid out this year. And since we only budgeted $40,000, because that's how much the contract is, an increase of $10,000 needs to be adjusted. Are there any questions on any of that?
We aren't increasing the budget for the pool to 50,000 though from
No,
now.
but we only paid them 30 last year, and we should have paid them 40. They invoice us on a quarterly basis, Councilmember Grabowski. We didn't get an invoice or it got missed, so we only paid them 30,000 last year, and we should have paid them 40. So this is just a makeup invoice from last year. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Anything else? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raddatz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of approval of a 5-year support renewal for the Talent Incident Management System. The police department has utilized Talent Incident Management System software for over 15 years for police reports and property room management. The annual cost for the TIM software has increased. The department requested a 5-year commitment proposal, which would cap the annual increase at 5% each year and allow for budget planning. The 5-year agreement amount of the commitment is over $25,000, which requires city council approval. At this time, council can take action to approve the renewal contract for the support of the Talent Incident Management System. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Why don't you tell us about that talent program, John?
Yeah, so the last couple of years, the inflationary cost for our report writing system's kind of been out of control. So just so you know, our report writing system is basically the backbone of our police department. We use it to control our proper room, draft our reports. Supervisors use it to review police reports. We've had this software probably 15 years. Last couple of years, the inflation has been close to 20%. I called them and said, I've been a long-time customer, so as other law enforcement entities. I'd like you to sharpen your pencil and figure out a way we can control this inflation, especially as budget dollars get pretty tight. Because we're a valued customer, they came back and they proposed this as a way to predict and control future inflation. So I have no intention ever to going away from this report writing software. Those are in law enforcement understand when you migrate different software, it is a hassle. So anyways, this was a strategy to save money for a company we've been with for at least 15 years, and they obliged us.
I thought when I retired that we were into that talent.
No, it was DDP 21 years ago. I don't know about that far back, but 21 years ago it was DDP, and then after a few years, it was Talon, Tim's, and we've broadened what we do at the police department. So it's been that way a long time. And so, like I said, to control inflation and to show their appreciation for a long time service, sharpen their pencils, and that's what they came up with. So it's a cost savings for us.
But, thank you.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of adopting a MERS deferred retirement option plan for the non-union MERS Division 1. The city previously had MERS conduct an actual evaluation for implementing a deferred retirement option plan drop for several of its MERS employee groups. Council approved the cost-neutral drop option for the POAM and the COAM at its August 7th, 2024 meeting, and the actual variation also included the calculations for the non-union division. In order to implement the plan for the group, the adoption agreement must be approved by City Council. At this time, Council could take action to approve the adoption agreement implementing the cost-neutral MERS deferred retirement option plan for the MERS non-union Division 1. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
yeah. Bill, being the newspaper had all the wages in the paper, a lot of people are excited over that. Is this deferred program gonna go over now with, you put the wages aside and then the people get the drop program for 5 years? What's that gonna increase to? Because people are kinda upset now with what was in the paper.
Yep, and I'm not sure why they put salaries in red when comparably, I think our wages are not necessarily higher than other administrators in the field. But I will say the drop program, we asked for a cost-neutral option from MERS, and so this is several members of staff, including here tonight, our finance director, our clerk, our police chief are going to be eligible for retirement in the next 5 years. So it was just a way to retain that expertise should they choose to stay on and work for the city. Otherwise, they could retire, they could work somewhere else, but it gives them that option. As I said, the POM and COM, so our police command and the patrol officer division were offered the drop plan. It was hard to kind of recruit talent for the police department, and it's kind of helped with filling staff positions. It is, it's tough to find a good finance director. It's tough to find good people in some of these positions, so it just gives us that option to retain the talent we have.
No, I understand that. The problem I look at is most companies look to let people retire at whatever they got and hire younger people that will come in at a cheaper wage.
And we do plan to develop staff as well. This just provides an option, yes.
But I'm just playing devil's advocate here because
Yes.
people want to know some answers. That's a lot of money.
And the reason it's here, we did look into it. We were able to find a good cost-neutral option. So the MERS valuation that was presented expires within a year, so we thought we'd bring it to council, see if there was an interest.
Okay. Has anybody, from the police and fire that have the drop program, has anybody gone 5 years with the agreement program? I don't know
No
how
one's
it's
signed up
happened.
for it yet, but
Just, we've had one person since we passed this in our collective bargaining retire, and they chose not to enter the drop program. So, and this isn't my baby, but just for the police side, it was a strategy to retain senior leadership. From a police perspective, when 25, 30 years of experience walks out the door, yes, you get new employees and you save cost.
Right.
But you've also lost your senior leadership to help those young officers along from a police perspective. But one person has announced their retirement, as you know, did not elect the drop. Within the next 3 to 5 years, I expect 4 officers will be, maybe 5 will be eligible for retirement. So we'll see how that strategy is proven effective in those.
Okay, well, I'm available if you need somebody to come back.
Chief, it seems like you've been doing a lot of recruitment and bringing cadets in and bringing them to officer status, and they're sticking around. So I just want to recognize if this is a recommendation for recruitment and retention of qualified candidates who will stay with us and reduce the turnover. You're paying a lot of money training people, and if they leave, they walk out the door. So I understand where, and especially if it's cost neutral, if this is going to help us keep those really good candidates that you've been working so hard on bringing to us, I would really think that would be a great idea.
And just so we're clear, this is for non-union too.
If possible, would Ed mind explaining that? He does a very good job on that, and I just what the program is, because I agree with what Jim had said about you'd get someone in at lesser wages, but on the other hand, there's two
But you
sides.
bring somebody in that with no experience.
Yes, and so there's two sides to it, and so we
Yeah.
want to make sure there is not a cost to the city. And one other thing I was just going to say before you talk, Ed, I think maybe we sometimes almost make a mistake, because a young person coming in, they have no clue of what the benefits are and what the value of these jobs. And coming out of the private sector, there is huge benefits, and I agree with the benefits, but a young person at 22, the last thing they think about is their retirement, their pension, and their Manistee offers that defined benefit retirement, and it's very good. And I think we need to sell that more to the young recruits, have someone come in and say, you just won Lotto, these are great jobs. So I think we need to sell that a little bit more.
Well,
of what
and if
we're
I can
offering.
also, last year with the election, there was 20% of clerks' positions that were not filled in the election process because of all of the law changes with elections, with early voting, all the things that were implemented. Those are clerks that did not run, that did not want that position. So when it comes time for my retirement, if it is at an election, a major election year, I don't even know when what falls that year. If there was someone who didn't step up, this may make it to where I stay an additional year to help out with that election year instead of stepping back and retiring. If there was somebody available that, was trained and wanted to step up and be clerk, great, but if not, this would be an option. So that is what this, and I'll let Ed take over.
Yeah, it does a good job on
Sure.
explaining.
So I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about here, but I'll try to keep it brief. So, an actuarial valuation was done to look at what it would cost to implement a drop plan for the police unions, which the council's adopted, and then we had the non-union as well. And they run all the numbers and they look at when they would normally expect people to retire, and they come up with a formula that is cost neutral to the city. So what that means is it can't increase the liability from the pension system by implementing this program. And the reason for that is if it did increase the liability, MERS has some other provisions that kick in that would be very prohibitive. So that it's a cost neutral implementation based on the actuarial calculations that actually lowers our liability by just a little bit under, a fraction of a percent, which is kind of what their goal is. But basically what the MERS drop plan does is when somebody is fully eligible to retire, what most people do is they say, okay, I'm going to step away from my job. I'm going to start drawing my earned retirement, and sometimes those people will go out and get another job at another community or whatever if they're not really quite done working yet. And the reason for that is because they're leaving a lot of money on the table by not drawing their pension at their earliest date. And the city has benefited from that. Dave Bachman, our former police chief, came from Jackson where he was able to draw his pension, and he came up here. Same way with Tim Kozel. So for the non-union group here, what this would do is it would allow, and how the drop plan works is when you're eligible for retire, you enter into an agreement with the city that says I'm going to work anywhere between 6 and 60 additional months. And in return for that, my pension will be frozen. I don't accrue any more pension benefits. And the payment that I would get, and in the case of this actuarial valuation, is 90% of what my pension payment would be, or somebody's pension payment. It would go into a separate account that MERS manages over here. There's no interest paid on that. The pension payments just go in there and accrue. And the employee continues to work for the amount of time that they're agreed on. And once they finally work that period of time, then they formally retire and they start to draw their pension payment and the money that was set aside then that they can get. And the benefit to the employer, as has been mentioned, is you get to retain seasoned employees You get to maybe have them train their replacement. There can be some overlap sometimes. A lot of my peers in the finance side, that's how they do it. But it doesn't increase the pension cost at all to the city. Councilmember Grabowski pointed out maybe you could hire in somebody at a lower rate, and that for executive level positions that may or may not be true. But the point is they don't necessarily have the experience, and you're losing some of it. So that's all this plan really does. It's a way to retain people, and it's done in a very affordable way. The other thing to know is, even though your pension would be frozen if you had to drop plan and elect it, you're still paying into the pension system. So that 4% is going into the pension system, and it's helping to actually strengthen the pension system because I'm not getting any more benefits out of it. So that's part of the reason that can be beneficial. But are there any questions? The fact sheet in MERS was pretty comprehensive. It's the last one in your packet, and it kind of explains a little bit more on how that works in addition to my memo.
It said in the thing, you could select 0 or 3% on the money in the program. The city did select 0.
0%, right? No interest,
Yeah.
no cost of living adjustment, and it's the most economical, most conservative way to do it.
And the person is deferring getting their pension, so it's not like they're getting their pension and working. Make that clear too.
Right, they're working, so
They're
they're
working,
getting paid just like
inked up salary, just
but
like
they're
they
not collecting a
are not-
pension check. The pension payment they would be is just getting set aside.
Yes.
And then you can access that when you finally retire.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common. State police has it. There's other communities that have adopted it, and it's a valuable retention tool. And as the chief pointed out, not everybody's going to take it. It just depends on their circumstances and what they'd like to do. But it is a way to retain those seasoned employees if that's a value.
And they can choose, right, 6 months to 6 years, and then once you make that decision, it's permanent. You say, I'll work 6 months
Correct.
or 60 months.
Yes, and if for some reason that employee, drops out, then there is a clawback of that, some of that money. So you have to fulfill your obligation to be able to get what they are putting aside to you.
Anything else?
Thanks, Ed. I
Welcome.
just wanted to have it explained.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of amending the city's personal policies and procedures manual to conform to the recent amendments to Public Act 338 of 2018, the Earned Sick Time Act. Public Act 338 of 2018, the Earned Sick Time Act, was a voter-initiated law that was passed by legislature and was effective February 21st, 2025. Council approved changes to the city's personnel policies and procedures manual at its February 18th, 2025 meeting to comply with the act. Subsequent to this, the Michigan legislature approved the changes to the act that require additional changes to the city's policy. The city labor attorney has reviewed the legislative changes to the city's personal policies procedures manual and made changes to the city. It is compliant with the new law. At this time, council could take action to amend the city's personal policies and procedures manual to be in compliance with Public Act 338 of 2018, the Earned Sick Time Act. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of a request from Talk About It to hold series of bike nights karaoke fundraisers throughout the summer season. Talk About It is requesting to hold bike night karaoke fundraisers Thursday evenings, June 5th through September 5th, 2025, 7 to 9 p.m. in the outdoor seating area in front of Talk About It. The purpose of the series is to raise awareness and funds for local combat veterans. The DDA does not recommend the approval of this event series for several reasons: the requested event's frequency, the impact to downtown disruption to pedestrian accessibility, alternative venue options, and lack of cleanup plan. At this time, council could approve or deny the request from Talk About It to hold a series of bike night karaoke fundraisers Thursday, June 5th through September 5th, 2025, 7 to 9 p.m. Is there a motion? If you make a motion, you must state to approve or deny. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to deny.
Is there a second? Or are we just dead then?
I'll second the
Okay.
motion.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
I just want to clarify that I am not
going against this. I am in very much support of veterans and all of their needs in the city and outside of the city. I just don't think that, I feel like that's a good way to bring in those funds on that regular of a basis. And some of the feedback that I had from last year's was not very positive. So maybe there's another option, another way to get those funds, but I don't feel that this is the way to do it.
I just have a question on the, so the DDA not recommending it. Was their paperwork not in order, or was there?
So the way, so I'm on the DDA, one of the issues was they just felt like there's alternate venues. There's also noise complaints, which were mentioned earlier. I think it was the frequency, using an outdoor dining space for a karaoke area. There was concerns about people gathering around, blocking pedestrians, but mainly the noise complaints. And one of the issues was, how could the council let this happen? How do we, because you basically, if you approve the event, you are basically approving them violating the noise ordinance by providing disruption. So the idea was to allow the DDA to provide a recommendation. So that was my commitment to them, that I'd bring these to them. I think if council were to deny it, just encourage them to work through these issues with the DDA and their neighbors. I think it's already a different event than what they presented here by saying it's now every other night as opposed to every Thursday.
Okay.
Every other Thursday as opposed to every Thursday. So I think it's more just make sure, you know, and really the thing was they thought this could be done inside the restaurant too. It's not everything has to be done outside in the public right of way.
Plan a little bit.
Yep.
I think inside is a good idea, yeah.
Would it be possible to table this and have it come back and see if they're willing to work with going inside or something?
We already made a motion, but
Right.
they've got to change it anyway, because they did say it's
Their
every
dates
other.
are different, yeah.
So they can clean it up and bring it.
So as it
back.
stands
Okay.
right now, I've made the motion to deny.
Okay. We have a second. Anybody else have any discussion on this? Okay, Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Raditz.
Yes to deny.
Councilmember Lasky.
Yes to deny.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Keck.
Yes.
And Councilmember Grabowski.
I'm gonna say no, because I know the people running this, and I think they do a great job, and I realize to get them off the street, but I'm just gonna say no for this.
The motion was approved.
Thank you. Where are we?
The catamaran racing,
That was,
bottom of page 3.
Oh, we're done. Okay. Okay, is this an opportunity for citizens in attendance to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement? Limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be public.
Hello again, council. Been a while since I've been here. Did you miss me? During a recent meeting with the city manager, where I inquired about a letter he recently sent me regarding my letter to the editor, which the dentist across the street extracted the teeth from, encouraging other readers to attend future council meetings and express their disagreement and displeasure with, as he put it, current happenings. Much more diplomatically put than I would have. In that letter, he stated that he was asked, come to find out by a couple of council members, to encourage me to take my concerns elsewhere. That is to say, to contact my federal representatives regarding this topic, as that is the level of government that oversees the agencies involved. What makes someone think I haven't? Have I appeared to be the shy, retiring sort when pissed off? As stated previously, the resistance to these vile, unjustifiable, illegal, unconstitutional policies aimed at immigrants and refugees, ready, fire, aim, The resistance must come from this level, small town city councils and everyday American citizens, in order for this resistance to be effective. During our free exchange of information, I probably gave more than I received, arguably. When I asked if he was willing to divulge who made the request to take my concerns elsewhere, he stated he was not comfortable doing so. It makes my mission more difficult, but I can respect that. During our conversation, it became clear that my ask of counsel seems to have been missed, and I will take full responsibility for that. Mea culpa, mea culpa. I never fully articulated my specific ask. That specific ask was contained in presentations that I said I would get back to and didn't. That specific ask is that council publicly express, by way of resolution or whatever means available, that the city, along with its departments and agencies, will not take an active part in the indiscriminate, inhumane, forced extraction from our community of any immigrant or refugee without due process of law and without first obtaining a criminal felony conviction. This is how it used to be, and it's only right. We know what's right, and we know what's wrong, and we know these policies are wrong. I know this runs counter to the submission our government now expects from us, but they are depending on our silence and compliance to get away with this. Don't be compliant, resist. During our exchange, it was explained to me that council likes to see something tangible so as not to be left guessing as to what I want. He tossed the ball back to me by suggesting that I compose a resolution for your consideration. I have done so. I thought you'd have it by now, but apparently not. Hopefully you'll have it by next meeting. I'm told you'll have it tomorrow. In order to make that resolution more palatable, I left out the loaded terminology that I have a tendency to use. This should be an easy decision at this point. The lower courts have been holding the line again, like they did the first time. The Supreme Court has finally come out in an emergency session and said, stop this crap. You cannot do it. So at this point, you would be standing with the courts. This should be an easy decision. I don't have time to read that tonight. I'm assuming you're going to have it soon. I will read that for the record next time. My name is Mike Herbert. Thank you. I live in Manistee.
Thank you. Were you coming up, Dennis? Are you coming up? Yes. Okay.
My name's Dennis Scarra, and even though I don't live in the city of Manistee, I own several properties, so part of what I'm going to discuss tonight affects me, but it affects two of the ladies that accompanied me here tonight. These are pictures of blighted properties that I've taken and had developed over the years, and I'm not going to bother with these right now because there's too many. We're going to concentrate on two properties. The first of which, because the other lady, if I could address the council
Just give it to Julia.
We'll start with that one. That, by the way, these are frequent flyers. I addressed the council, and Jim can attest to this because he's been on the council for forever. But the first time was in June of 2016, second time March of 2018, third time May of 2022, and of course tonight would be the fourth time. We're going to start out, you have those pictures of 818 Ramsdow. They affect my sister-in-law who is with me, Jean Doobie. She owns the property adjacent to and west of 818 Ramsdow. That is an absolute dump. It's been a frequent flyer for years. There's vermin, there are skunks, cats that migrate into the garage of that property. And of course, let's say they frequent the neighborhood and drop their feces. They urinate all over, and I'm sure you people wouldn't want that on your front porch. But anyways, the last time that property was visited, according to the information I have, was in 2024. They were given a citation at that time. One of the factors was that supposedly the garage door wouldn't close on the garage that you have there. Well, here we are, May of '25, and the garage door still don't close. And now there's more garbage than there was back then and back on the first time that I was here. So that property is, I understand it's owned by a local owner. I was at first advised that it was an out-of-town owner that was renting it out. I did not, by the way, get a chance to talk to the inspector to see whether or not that property is listed as a rental. But the owner does not occupy it, but the person that's in it may or may not be related. But still, it's a rental. Like I say, this is ongoing, Council. It's just, I think if nothing else, the council has and does this, the police department, you have an obligation and a duty, if you will, to keep the property or adjoining property safe and healthy, and certainly free of vermin and other crawling insects and animals. And this just is getting ridiculous. And I think the city is getting to the point on not just this, but on the 30 or 40 that I have here of the other frequent flyers. Each one of these envelopes is another property, by the way, that I personally took the time to view and to document, and I gave that, of course, to the chief back in '22. Nothing has happened. I understand that the blight officer has left the employee of the city. No other officer has been hired, and so therefore we're at a stalemate again.
I don't want you to run out of time, but you said you had 2 properties.
Okay, well then let's move on to 820 Maple. This one here, not only, this one bothers me because I pass Maple every day, and a lot of you folks pass Maple Street every day, as do a lot of people that commute between Manistee and Ludington, and I have had numerous tenants ask me about that dump over there. The other problem with that, he's running a repair business. He's been cited for zoning violations there. There's 4 or 5 trucks and cars, as you can see from that picture, which was taken just a couple days ago, parked up on the lawn, and one thing another. So, is that for me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. I think the council, it's incumbent on you that I see we have a new city attorney. Perhaps he will have some time and make an effort with the council's direction to put together an ordinance.
Got it. I can't keep letting you go because I can't let everybody else go. Thank you, though.
How about if well, that's the problem, quite honestly. My wife told me I should probably talk to the Tombstones across the street from my house, and I would get as much response. But I think for what it's worth, the city is bordering.
We heard you, Mr. Skiera, but I can't let you keep continuing to talk when I can't let everybody else talk.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you.
We have that, yes.
Bordering on a lawsuit pending because this is ridiculous.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Gamble.
So I will mention that we do have our attorney going to court, and we do have a building official that's working on structural blight, so these are being addressed, and I can look into these properties as well.
You need to put some meat into it. These people.
Mr.
So
Skiera.
they go through the process, they go to court, the court determines things, and we follow the court, and we continue to be diligent with working with the court to get compliance.
That has teeth in it.
Okay.
So,
People should be fined on a monthly basis.
Mr. Skiera, you can't keep interrupting.
I'm sorry, but it gets
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, but I can't let you keep interrupting. Mr. Gamble, do you have anything else?
That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Grabowski?
Yes, Dennis, I've addressed these issues. I came up and saw Toby myself, because I checked this alleyways, I check the streets, I ride up and down every morning. And a lot of the people that live next to some of these people call me, so I go out and check them. And I have pictures of them. And I mean, I got swore by the guy on Maple Street for taking a picture at his house.
I did too.
And, I mean, he has a dog and cat that the neighbors are yelling about. And I know the police have been over because I've called him. And, I know he is in court. And so the one place on Ramsdale Street is a mess. And I know I talked to Toby about that. And I don't know if he ever ticketed him. I didn't follow him.
But you know, if
Can I mention, I'm the one who's behind them, and,
you have 5 minutes.
you know, their garbage is in my yard all the time, and you can't even walk on, I have a dog to walk, and I can't walk on the streets because it's full of dog crap from their dogs. And
But
it's
I've
like,
had the neighbors call me, and I've had them, told them to call the police, and, you know, they can ticket them for that mess.
Not fair to Mr. Herbert.
I know.
Thank
that's
you.
ridiculous,
Okay.
that nobody can even
Okay.
walk on the street or the sidewalk.
Thank you. Anything else, Jim?
The one thing, Bill, where we at the Project Brownfield with the Rear Gateway, I mean, every month we keep getting they're coming along well and all that stuff. Are we, the Brownfield done yet?
I think Ed, they submitted their brownfield plan, and the attorney's reviewing it right now.
Okay,
So, and yeah, I did meet with they're kind of committed to mowing the lawn and making sure it's kept up, but it does seem like the brownfield plan is moving forward.
So we actually have a meeting scheduled tomorrow, possibly the next, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but anyway, to kind of finalize the last loose ends on the brownfield plan. We're waiting from the developer to get back with some numbers on the tax increment financing tables, but the plan has been drafted for a while. We're just trying to tidy it up and finish it. I'm hopeful that that can go to the brownfield meeting in June. So the first, it'd be the second Tuesday in June, and the city attorney Blake has a bunch of information on the development agreement, which we want to get approved at the same time. And I have a meeting scheduled hopefully with him Thursday afternoon to run through it, to bring him up to speed. But since he's new to the city, he's not familiar with our standard form of development agreement. And we have like a complex form and a lesser form. I think he will have some valuable input. Maybe they even have some examples of plans they've done in the past. So we'll got to put that together. And then we have to have the developer react to it because it's not, you know, we can't just impose it on them. They have to agree to it. So I'm hopeful that that will be on the same agenda, the June meeting for the Brownfield Authority. If we can get both of those on and get them approved, then they'll be coming to City Council shortly after that. But again, that's just another step in the process, but it's certainly forward progress. So I'm encouraged by that.
okay, good, thanks, Ed. The one last thing was, the last meeting I asked Leanie to thank the guys that worked at the Armory. Liz was there, and my wife and I, and I mean, we worked from 8 to 12, and it was busy. Those cars were out to the road all the time with all the junk they brought. So I just wanted to say myself, I really appreciate what they did. You were down there, Bill. And so, I mean, they worked hard. The paint was, the whole trailer was full of paint cans. People brought everything that you could imagine. And the wagon was, the big city truck, or Republic truck was packed. They had to go and come back with another truck. So we really worked that day, and I appreciate what everybody did.
Ms. Gag?
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Raditz?
I just wanted to say, Ms. Mayor, that I do appreciate, it's difficult. I believe in freedom of speech, but I also believe that everyone has equal access to government and speech, and I know it's difficult to cut people off when they're very excited about things, but I really appreciate that you hold everyone to the same standard. I thought that was worth mentioning.
Thank you. Ms. Lasky?
A couple things. One of the things that Dennis Scarrow had in his pictures, and I questioned that since we started talking about it, were those trash cans. And there was 2 in the pictures, and I know that's not as important as the Vernon and everything else that's going on. But I'm just concerned that now everybody is going to get another another trash can, so in that picture, instead of 2, there would be 4 once we get the recycling. And I'm just a little bit concerned about how that whole area is gonna look with double the trash cans down there, the recycling and I'm not sure if everybody is going to recycle.
I'm not sure what value my comments are gonna give you, but we can't enforce blight to the level of having a trash can out by the curb.
Oh, I know.
2 trash cans. Unfortunately, you know, Toby, when he was here, and Jerry Blue have done a tremendous job, and I've offered to taxi anyone around town and show you the difference in 2 years. They are continuing to be aggressive. We are filling our code enforcement position. The challenge is at the county courthouse level, and I've said this for 5 years now, that what a judge or magistrate says, that's it. So we have a couple remedies we can escalate that, but to your point, we get C-click fixes because someone has left their blue garbage can too long by the curb. We can't enforce to that level with the officers that we have. I think it's an unreasonable amount.
I don't think that was my concern. My concern is that I think we're gonna drop off 2 more in that same location for the recycling. So we're gonna double the amount of trash cans. And on some of those 60-foot, it's a 60-foot lot, that's a lot. Or no garage, or a very small garage. And I just thought, the blight is a concern in Manistee. And so every little detail adds to it or subtracts from it. And I think we gotta just be cognizant of our part in adding to it. And I know we want recycling, but I'm still concerned about, does everybody have to have the trash can if they're gonna, we aren't gonna opt out on it. We decided not to do that, but it's just a concern that.
I think you make a very good point. I just wanted to point out that we have to prioritize
Right.
when we have a issue such as blight enforcement and really determine where we're going to allocate our resources. So I don't doubt when we have recycling and somebody puts the recycling out and it rains, that we're going to have a bunch of C-click fixes saying this is terrible, I can't believe, we can't enforce that level, but you do make a good point about there's potential for that.
Yeah, it's a potential in that, so, thank you, Josh. The Riverwalk, is there any update on that? Some of the people have questioned like the quality of the boards and what is the rest of the project gonna look like? Are all the rails gonna be painted? Are the lights going to be replaced, like the light posts and some of the trim boards and the unevenness of it? There was some questions about the Riverwalk. I don't know if everybody's walked on it, but I've received a lot of calls on that.
So I did walk through with Shane today from Spicer. We kind of marked some boards to be looked at with the contractor. So we're doing a walkthrough with them to correct some issues. They did go through a lot in the winter, and I think they've been good to work with. We're hoping they can correct some of these issues. As far as the rest of the work, the painting, once the weathers get a little warmer, that's when that's going to start, and that's kind of
Railings.
scraping and putting white epoxy, painting the light posts as well. They're going to be putting in the LED lights, the electrician, and then we have the landscaping, and that's going to begin in mid-May. So we're kind of, the structural component with the bracing and the sheet piling, that's completed over by the switchback by Dick's Barber Shop. The site work is the boardwalk, and a lot of that's been completed, but there's some items we're still looking at getting corrected, kind of punch list items, so.
So there won't be any more boards, like all the boards like some of the trim boards were not even replaced. It was just randomly replaced. So are you saying most of the boards are in place already?
Most of the boards are in place, and yeah, there's some trim work there, but in general, the entire trim area was not to be replaced and wasn't in the work, and it wasn't in the scope of work.
Okay.
Anything
That's
else?
it? No.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.